Hello team. So in today's video we are going to explore this new agentic framework by OpenAI called Swarm, and specifically we will explore few examples given by OpenAI. So we are going to modify these examples to run using GPT-4o mini instead of running by default model like GPT-4o, and we are going to understand the whole framework. Again, this is initial exploration and we will try to see how it looks like or what's the difference between this framework as well as other frameworks like AutoGen. But definitely it will be very early to comment on anything. So let's get started.
So to install everything, I use Visual Studio Dev Containers. Again, you can check out my previous videos. Basically, what we are trying to do is we are trying to install Linux within Windows using Visual Studio Code Dev Containers. And the advantage is I can create my own environment, which I'm going to use for other environments like production. So I can have my dev environment where I'm going to use the Debian instance, and the same thing I can run in production. So the dependency hell within Python is eliminated by this. So I need not to run on different operating system. I can run on the same operating system which I'm going to deploy specifically in cloud. So that's the advantage. And definitely you can check out my earlier videos, but I'm just going to recap exactly what we are going to do here. So basically we have something called dev container and we have something called docker file. And what we are trying to do is we are trying to fetch this specific docker file, or I would say docker base image. And this docker base image contains Python 3.12 and it's originally a Debian image. So that's what we are going to do. Again, we have a bash script called install dependencies, and what we are trying to do is we are trying to install everything. For example, we are using Swarm, so we are going to install Swarm, and we are also going to install Python dot environment to fetch the environment variables. So that's what we are going to do. So let's get started with the examples. So I'm going to just restart my Jupyter notebook. So within this environment, I have the Jupyter notebook which I use to explore. And let me run the first thing. So here what I'm doing is with load.environment, I'm just loading the OpenAI key which is present in the environment file. So that's what I'm trying to do because I need that particular file. Then what I'm trying to do is I'm just saying, I'm just importing few things which are needed for Swarm. So for example, Swarm and as well as agent. And this is the first example which I'm going to walk through. So basically within Swarm, what we need to do is we need to create different agents. So for example, I have created English agent as well as Spanish agent. And this example is copied from OpenAI, but I have made few changes. So one of the change which I made is, if you see, I provided a parameter called model override where I'm not using default GPT-4, but I am using default GPT-4o mini. So instead of GPT-4o, I'm using GPT-4 mini. So that's one of the things which I'm trying to do. And again, there is a parameter called max turns, which can be used to, see exactly how many turns are needed per agent. So that's also I'm trying to put from infinity to 2 only. So basically, how does the agent, this Swarm framework works is you can define few functions, and these functions can return either string or they can return a agent itself. So for example, if you see, this is returning an agent, and post that we have defined two agents. One is English agent, which can speak English. The other one is which can speak Spanish. And when you see the English agent, what it tries to do is it does nothing, but it transfer to Spanish agent. So as long as you invoke this agent, what it's going to do is it is going to transfer you to the Spanish agent. So that's what it is going to do. And then we start the conversation. So here we are starting the conversation using something in Spanish, and let's see what the answer comes up. So here is the walkthrough of how the answer looks like. So first of all, there is a call which is made to this function called transfer to Spanish agent. So once you have this invoked, the English agent understand that I have to transfer to Spanish agent. So that's exactly what it did. It transferred to the Spanish agent, and then once Spanish agent came into the picture, it replied something like this. So this is very simple example of what you call as handoff, and this is exactly what has been done. Now I'm going to give another example where this will fail, and we are just deliberately failing it. So everything remains the same. The only thing is now we are providing the conversation in French. Once we provide the conversation in French, let's see what happens. So basically, you invoke English agent, but you give it something called something in French. So if you try to run this, I will just run this. So it is going to stop. It is going to say, hello, I'm able to assist you in English. How can I help you today? So it immediately stopped. And in the earlier example, we saw that, it transferred to Spanish because, the initial conversation was Spanish, but this conversation is in French. So that's why it was stopped immediately. So this is another example. Now let's try to move into much more complex example. So this is a little complex example, and the original thought process remains like this. So we will define three agents. So first of the agent will be triage agent, which is nothing but initiator. And what it can do is it can hand over to refund as well as sales. So depending on the intent of the user, it can do the refund as well as sales. So it is going to hand off to either of the agent, but the only difference is these two agents can again hand off to the original initiator, which is triage agent. So that's the difference. So what we have done is we have defined few functions. So basically, if you see as such, what we have done is we have process refund as well as apply discount. These two functions will be used by a refund agent, and then we have three more functions defined, which is transfer back to triage, transfer to sales, transfer to refunds, and all of these three functions returns an agent which does the handoff. So for example, a sales agent can call transfer back to triage to again return back to triage. Triage can call the sales, triage can call refunds, and so on. So in the first two functions, we have a business process of doing either refund or discount, but in the later three functions, we have handing off that is taking place. Now, once these functions are defined, what we can do is we can define agents. So, for example, I can define the first agent, which is the initiator, called triage, and its solely job is to determine which other uh, agent to hand off. So that's what it is going to do. So it is going to either transfer to sales or going to transfer to refund. So it's going to call either of these two functions to hand it off. The sales agent is something which is very enthusiastic, and what it can do is it can call sales agent as such, which can do the conversation. So that's what it is going to do. There is a third agent called refund agent, which invokes these functions: process refund, apply discount. Again, these are like sort of business functions. The third function is transfer back to triage, which does nothing but doing a handoff again to the original initiator. So basically, if you see, this is going invoke first, then it is going to decide which to call. After that, they are going to again get it back to triage, and then triage can again decide back to go to refund and sales and so on. So that's how the conversation will continuously to happen. So what we have done is, let's try to run a very simple scenario. And we are going to do is we are going to give it a very simple intent call: I want to purchase. So what should have happened is we have invoked initiator, which is triage agent, and it is going to decide which agent to run. Because the intent is to purchase, it is going to transfer it to the sales agent. And if you see the response, that's exactly what it did. So originally triage agent was invoked, then it understood that based on this I have intent of purchase, so call the transfer to sales agent, and that's what has happened. So we have this sales agent invoked via transfer to sales, and then it came up with few answers of its own. So basically, if you see, are you interested in acquiring bees, and so on and so on. So a handoff took place, and sales agent was invoked. Now once we are done with this, let's run an infinite loop and see how the result looks like. So what we are going to do is we are going to run few queries, and we are going to see the handoff taking place. So I'm just running this for now, and if you see, it asks me something. Let's see if I can provide it something. So let me see, I want to purchase. So this specific thing called run demo loop is provided by Swarm itself, and I just wanted to explore what it tries to do. So it says I want to purchase. So a triage agent is invoked. It says, hello, how can I assist you today? And it says, transfer to sales. It looks like you're interested in making a purchase. So it transferred to sales agent. Then what I will going to write is I want a refund. And it is going to transfer back to triage agent. And then we are going to triage agent is going to transfer back to refunds agent. So that's how it's sort of handing off as such. So again, it can move from triage to sales to again to triage to refunds and so on. So it can go on to sort of infinite loop. So I'm just going to stop it right now, and just to avoid it, try to running infinitely. So basically, yeah, this was the initial exploration of agents, as well as function calls and everything which is there in the Swarm framework. Again, I believe it's at very nascent stage. So again, let's see how does it get involved or evolved in future as such. But yeah, compared to other frameworks like AutoGen and all, it seems a very initial start. So as things progress, we'll try to explore more. But for now, we have explored these few functionalities within Swarm. So thanks team, thanks for watching. Bye.